Today on CityCast Philly, SEPTA's been grappling with a lot of recent high-profile violence. Last year, though, state lawmakers created a new position just to address this issue, a special prosecutor for crimes on public transportation in the city. Governor Josh Shapiro has supported this too, but the position has been controversial. It remains unfilled in a legal limbo. I'm speaking with a transportation reporter to break down the latest on the special prosecutor and what's actually at stake for SEPTA here. It's Thursday, March 14th. I'm Trenae Nuri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Tom Fitzgerald, transportation reporter with the Philadelphia Inquirer. Welcome back to CityCast Philly.
Thanks, Trenae. It's always good, and I'm glad to be back.
Great. Tom, the city has police, SEPTA has police. The city already has a district attorney's office, which prosecutes crimes. That's led by District Attorney Larry Krasner. So how would a new special prosecutor be different from the law enforcement we already have?
That's the key question. It's really unclear. But the prosecutor's job would be to look at crimes on SEPTA and prosecute them in criminal court. It's just what Mr. Krasner does, Larry Krasner, DA
Right.
Krasner. Only their responsibility would be narrowly on what happens on SEPTA.
And in Philadelphia, right?
In Philadelphia only, because SEPTA, as everyone who lives here would know, is, 5 counties. It's the 4 suburban counties are served also by SEPTA, and it's only Philly. But it's unclear from the law whether the person would have jurisdiction just on SEPTA-owned property, meaning their vehicles or the tracks and the platforms for subways, or whether they could go and have jurisdiction around the SEPTA properties based on some other legal precedents with police departments meshing with Philadelphia authorities. Could be 500 yards around SEPTA. That's like an area of dispute.
Interesting. I'm wondering how this new position would be funded. Do we know anything about who's going to pay for all of this?
That's very vague also. It seems the legislation says Philadelphia is going to pay for it. So it's kind of analogous to Donald Trump saying, we're going to build a big wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. So, I mean, the legislature didn't spell out that state money will pay for this person. I guess it'll be left to negotiations, and they want Philly to chip in.
Okay, there's many sides in this ongoing controversy, and I want to kind of step back a little bit. Why did Republican state lawmakers want to create this position in the first place?
Well, they were responding to both a reality of crime increasing or seeming to increase. It's perception mixed with reality. They thought, for SEPTA to be able to be healthy and recover, and for them to be willing to put more money into it, it had to be a safer place so that it could attract more rioters back or, be perceived as. And they also have a philosophical difference in, what prosecuting crime and how the criminal justice system should be used. They think Krasner is too permissive because he came in wanting to reform some of what a lot of people see as excesses of criminal justice, locking people up for more minor things, etc. Republicans philosophically disagree with that. They want a tougher stance. And they also, in Harrisburg, state lawmaker, Republicans have had a problem with Krasner, and they tried to impeach him. It sort of came to a head last year, but I think they started in 22. Didn't work. So the cynical interpretation would be, this is another way to get back at Krasner and to punish him politically because they don't like the job he's doing, even though he was elected twice.
What's been the response from Krasner and his office?
They filed a lawsuit with the Commonwealth Court, which does the appeals of government actions. It's just below the Supreme Court. And so they said that it violates the District Attorney's Act, like what is said in law is the district attorney's jurisdiction, which is all of Philadelphia or whatever county it is. And Philadelphia's a county too. And that it like subverts the will of the voters. So there's an equal protection element of the PA Constitution and kind of discounts their votes in the DA's arguments in court. And they also argue, that it's unnecessary. There's no evidence that things are so out of hand and that the DA can't do it. So there's no reason to do it.
More on this ongoing controversy over SEPTA's special prosecutor position after the break. This is CityCast Philly. Right. So, Tom, you just told us about the lawsuit to stop this position, but you've also reported that SEPTA is considering adding the special prosecutor?
Yes. I mean, SEPTA has always taken the stance that, like, wasn't our idea, not our circus, but, we'll take any help we can get. Very politically neutral, not offending anyone. Now they've come out in favor of having the special prosecutor, at least in court. They've taken that public facing position, which is new. They've sided with the state defending the law, and they say that it was appropriately done. It was legal and didn't violate the voters' rights or the district attorneys, and they would welcome having the special prosecutor helping to fight crime. And the reason is the SEPTA is heading for a fiscal problem, huge deficits. They've been sort of like cruising on federal pandemic aid that hasn't been spent down. That'll disappear later this year, the last of it. So they're facing a 240 million deficit this year and every year projected into the future. They need a stable source of state funding. The governor introduced a bill to give them that, but said it's conditional on, you know, knocking down crime, like taking a harder line on it. And so for SEPTA, Larry Krasner can't really do anything for him fiscally. So they're sort of in a hard place. They need the money.
Interesting. So there seems to be, different sides forming here. One side, SEPTA, the governor, Republican lawmakers. The other side is Krasner and his supporters. What does the governor, though, who is Democrat, same with Krasner, get out of siding with Republicans in Harrisburg?
One, he looks tough on crime. He, for his political standing in the state and we know he has ambitions beyond this, that he has shown that he is not your quote unquote typical stereotypical Democrat, that he's like tough on crime. It's part of the image. Two, by siding with the Republicans on this, he's showing like, look, I'm reasonable. You can deal with me. We can go back and forth. He gets like to show them he's willing to be cooperative and to make trades.
So going back to this position, what's the status of the special prosecutor? Has anyone been hired yet?
No one's been hired to be the special prosecutor. The Attorney General's office has posted the job. From sources I understand, there hasn't been interest. People haven't been stepping forward to apply for it.
Is that because of all the controversy and politics kind of circulating around it?
Right. That's definitely the perception, that it's too hot. Who would want to come into a job where the sitting district attorney of the place would be hostile? It's unclear from the law how much help they would get because the funding's unclear. Would they get staff? And the pay seems, for the hard, difficult political situation the person would be in, it's like $150,000, and they would have to, document their expenses on top of that.
It's messy.
Probably, yeah. It's a thankless job. So, like, if you're a lawyer, you might say, "Oh, that'd be interesting." Nah, maybe not. Maybe I'll wait and see how it shakes out.
When could we know more about what's going to happen?
I think everything's mostly on hold until the court case gets some movement, and there's a hearing on it in mid to late April. So, a number of weeks, things don't move super fast in Harrisburg. But I'm, sensing that because there's this giant legal dispute, everybody will sort of want that to get decided and worked out. They'll keep advertising the position, but if no one wants it, it's kind of a stalemate, and we have the status quo.
Mm-hmm. So, bigger picture here, would this position actually make Philly safer?
It's really hard to tell. I mean, as all of your listeners know, there's been a series of horrible shootings over the last week and a half on and around SEPTA buses. Some people shot fatally and 8 high school students injured in the Northeast. So actually, homicides are up, but other violent crimes are steady or down. It's a mixed bag. So would it be safer? I guess define safer, and it's really kind of a psychological thing. Like, what does the rider think? Whether, they read the statistics maybe if they read the news or listen to the news, but like, is that enough to convince them?
All right, we'll keep our eyes out for more developments on this story. Tom Fitzgerald, transportation reporter at the Philadelphia Inquirer, thanks so much for coming on CityCast Philly.
Thanks, Trinae.
You can continue to read more of Tom's reporting by clicking the links in our show notes. That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. Let us know what you think of this episode. Tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to sign up for our morning newsletter, Hey Philly, to learn more about what else Philly's talking about. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the Friday News Roundup. Bye.